Hello, I hope you're doing great. Today we are going to talk about a very simple way to make your testing fun when using Visual Studio. Now, before we continue, please remember to visit fairplaytube.bticostarica.com, click on the Buy Me a Coffee icon, and select a donation of your preference. This will allow us to keep the videos and products free for you. Okay, so when you are doing automated testing, right, unit testing, integration testing, end-to-end testing, whatever kind of testing you are doing, automated testing, um, it can become boring at some point, right? Testing is actually a vital part of your code. High quality solutions must have tests because it actually reduces your bugs and allows you to deliver faster to your customers and reduce a lot of issues that otherwise you will need to research manually. However, we have to get real. Testing is not the most fun part of software development. It's something that you have to do, but at least in my case, it is not something I consider like creative, right? Like converting my ideas into code. Testing is instead testing the ideas that are already implemented, right? Unless you do things like test-driven development, where you are actually creating your tests first, and with that you are also creating your code simultaneously, right? So in that case, it can be a little bit fun or not that boring, right? Um, but yeah, the part that at least myself I enjoy the most is creating the architecture and creating the code, right? If I spend like for example months working only on testing, I will get extremely bored, right? Um, I have already worked that way in the past, and I didn't like it, right? Uh, I remember we had a project where a couple of years ago, well, actually like 10 years ago or something like that, where we were kind of switching roles a little bit, right? And at one point, um, we had to do a lot of testing, and I was really bored because the project we were working in in different roles. Like part of the team was working on the development of the new features, and part of the team was creating the tests. But it was months of creating tests. I was already bored of doing that because it was not creating new functionality. It was not creating code. It was just testing what was already in there. So I got bored. And does not that does not only happen to me. A lot of software developers do not like testing at all because of similar reasons, right? But as I was saying, testing is a vital part of every system, and it has to be done if you want to have high quality platforms, right? So one cool, interesting feature that was added recently in Visual Studio is what we are going to see or watch right now. So, as you can see, this is just a test method from MS Test, and I just comment this, right? So I am going to mark this as failed just for testing purposes. This test does not really have anything uh, worded because it doesn't really have code. I just want to show you this feature, right? So if my tests fail and I run it, let's see what happens. So it has a funny sound when that test finishes or fails. And now if I don't mark the test as fail and it actually passes, no, that's a fun sound in there. Um, Now the coolest thing is that those are not default sounds. You can actually configure them. So in Visual Studio, in your Test Explorer, you can go to this icon and you can select options. Well, first you need to mark play a sound when test finish running. And then you can go to your options, and here in general you can click the configured sounds, right? And here you will have a lot of categories, and one of those categories is going to be Visual Studio. Microsoft Visual Studio, so you can see you can actually place sounds for several things in your Visual Studio actions. And a couple of those actions are test run failed and test run succeed. You can basically browse or select the ones that are already in there or browse a WAP file, right? So you can see I have these WAP files that I downloaded. Um, One good place where you can actually get free sounds that you can use it's opengameart.org. Open Game Art website, it's basically an kind of open source, no, open resources, I would say. Um, it's a place where you can actually download a lot of free game assets for to place in your video games, right? For example, if you are a indie game developer or you are just learning to create video games, you can use Open Game Art to get some cool resources like images, sounds, sound effects, music, right? Background music and all that. Free of charge, of course. They have different licenses that you need to check before you download them, right? Um, but it's basically a place that allows game developers to create like small prototypes or practice, right? If they do not have enough resources to do a full-fledged video game development, that usually takes a lot of money because you have to invest programmers, game artists, 3D modeling, right? Sometimes you even have to go and take pictures of places that you want to model, right? And then the animation and all that. That costs a lot of money. Um, and you can actually download some of those and place them in Visual Studio. That's actually what I did. I downloaded a couple of sounds from the Open Game Art page, and I believe one is from other place that I can't remember. And I placed them in Visual Studio, and you can play a little bit with that and make your test a little bit fun. So fun. So if all your tests pass, you can actually dance or whatever, right? And if the tests fail, you can actually cry. I was actually looking for a baby cry sound to do this small session video, but I didn't find any sound in WAP format, and I didn't. At least I don't remember how to compare the MP3 to WAP files. But yeah, hopefully this video has been useful and yeah, enjoy your sounds in Visual Studio. This is a really cool feature that Visual Studio team recently added. This is Visual Studio 22, by the way. I believe it's only in Visual Studio 22. So give it a try. Thank you very much and have a great day.